How's everyone doing? Good. So small crowd, but hopefully that means more engagement. I know most of the faces. We have one new face. Thanks for coming out. So for the person that does not know us, we are the Tahoe Regional Young Professionals. I'm Devin Middlebrook. I'm the Civic Engagement Committee Chair. This is Jenna Palacio, our Executive Director, and we're here to talk. Oh, and of course the computer turned off.
So today we're here to talk about civic engagement, what it is, how it relates to you, and why right now is a really important time to start tuning into what's going on here. We've got a great presentation for you today. It'll only take an hour, so we'll get everybody out of here in time for dinner, or late dinner, depending on how you roll. But we're going to talk about different ways to get involved, different projects, what's happening. But before we go into that, I just want to recognize our fantastic board members, committee members, volunteers that make TRIP such a special organization. We couldn't do this without you. And I don't know, Devin, I'm pretty fired up that we've got such a great group of people that are civically engaged.
Definitely. So really, I think the first thing to start off with is TRIP is all about empowering our members in the community to speak up, make an impact, and we want to remain completely politically neutral. We're not taking sides. We're not telling you how to think, telling you how to vote, telling you what to believe in. We really just want to give you the information, give both sides of the story, make your own decisions, and speak up, speak your mind. So what is engagement?
Yeah, so let's see, what is engagement, Devin? Let's just go with the basics here. Civic engagement refers to ways in which citizens participate in the life of their community in order to improve the conditions for others or to shape that community's future. I mean, that's a pretty great cross-section of what TRIP does right there. So right here with the Tahoe Regional Young Professionals, our definition of civic engagement, what our mandate is with it, while remaining a politically neutral organization, we still want to educate our members and have an informed group of like-minded peers that are out there being a part of the local decision-making process. It's important that we all work together to impact important issues and topics and remain empowered, because that's what it's all about, right? Empowering Tahoe. So civic engagement is a great way to do that and make that impact on your community. Civic engagement embraces a variety of topics. It's not just political, it can be environmental, it could be social. But political is kind of where it all starts. And it's important to know who represents you at all levels of government, because these are the people that are making decisions, not just in the local political arena, but also with environmental impact, with social issues like low-income housing. So there's a lot to address here. So we're going to give you a kind of condensed overview of what's happening and how you can get involved. So let's dive. Let's take a look at the players in the game. On a federal level, we have the state Senate and the House of Representatives. In California and Nevada, we have 2 states, 5 counties that impact the Lake Tahoe Basin. So it's important to know who's representing you at a federal level. For California, our representative is Dianne Feinstein and Barbara Boxer. In Nevada, we're represented by Harry Reid and Dan Heller. And our Senate representatives have been the same for many years. In the near future, though, we're going to see some changes. Feinstein's retiring, and Barbara Boxer is going to be retiring, as well as Harry Reid. So there's going to be some changes in that arena as well. And then it's estimated that Barbara Boxer isn't too far behind them either. So in California, we're represented by the House of Representatives, Tom McClintock. And we actually have 53 representatives in the House total for California alone. So pretty massive representation there. Well, guess what? In Nevada, it's only 4. So on the Nevada side, only 4 representatives are in the House. Mark Modi being the Tahoe and Northern Nevada representative. So kind of keep these people in mind for your federal, state representation. These are the guys. So there's also the State Assembly. We have a variety of people here. I mean, what do you guys think? Do these people look like folks that maybe represent us? I don't know. But you can see here that we have 3 major state and assembly representatives. In California and in Nevada, we actually have 5 within the Senate and Assembly. So kind of an interesting mix there. But it's really when we get to the local level that things start to get really complicated. We have so many different agencies impacting the basin. I know a lot of people here, work with all kinds of different agencies in their work. I see some engineers here that probably do some. I know Devin, you working at the TRPA. I mean, everyone's working together in this big old community with this big old lake. So, like I mentioned before, we have 2 states and 5 counties that are impacting our civic arena here. The Tahoe Regional Planning Agency, of course, is one of them, kind of the governing environmental agency. Tahoe has the 5 counties: Douglas County, Carson County, the city of South Lake Tahoe, which is its own agency, really the only incorporated area that's impacting the lake. There's also El Dorado County, Placer County, and Washoe County. So we have all of these entities that are impacting our local decision making and our future, but it's also a great opportunity for more ways to get engaged with these representatives. So moving into our county representatives, you can see here that we have a variety of women who are representing us, ranging from Sue Novosel in District 5 in El Dorado County, Jennifer Montgomery in Placer County, North in District 5 as well, Nancy McDermott over in the Tahoe-Douglas side, and then Karen Aboud and Marcia Burkbigler in Washoe County. So it's kind of an interesting mix. And for those of you watching afterwards, we're definitely going to be hosting this on tahoetrip.org, so don't worry if we're cruising through it. It'll be available for you at tahoetryp.org. So we'll just bring it down another notch. What's going on here within the city of South Lake Tahoe? Well, we have 5 representatives. We have a new mayor and a new mayor pro tem. Our new mayor, Wendy David, and Mayor Pro Tem Austin Sass, they're at the helm, along with 3 other city council members, Councilman Hal Cole, Councilman Joanne Connor, and Councilman Tom Davis. So we have a pretty exciting election cycle coming up as well, and some of these seats are going to be available. So it'll be interesting to see what happens come the November election, but I'm getting way ahead of myself here.
Well, I think, Jenna, you did a great job of recapping the many different layers of government and of public officials that we have in the Tahoe Basin, and putting faces to the names and seeing the person that actually represents you is really that first step towards empowerment and getting involved and getting engaged. So I want to kind of now dive into one of the things that most of these representatives are dealing with that impact our daily lives, and that's definitely major projects. So for the upcoming 2016, some of the major projects that are happening in South Lake Tahoe, the Highway 50 South Shore Community Revitalization Project, aka Loop Road. We've got the South Tahoe Rec and Swim Center. That building's getting very old and outdated, so they're looking at updating that and making it more of a center of recreation in town. Reagan Beach down in the middle of town is getting an update. They've got a new master plan that's in development. And then the city right now is working on their design guidelines, which are the rules that tell businesses how they're allowed to look, signage, streetscapes, so really shaping the way you want your town to look in the future. And then the Tahoe Valley Area Plan at the Y in town is going to bring a lot of things. I want to highlight the Highway 50 project. Obviously, it's in the state line area. It's probably the most high-profile project that's going on right now, being spearheaded by the Tahoe Transportation District. I've got, like Jenna said, this will be available online after this presentation, and you can check out some of the links, the project website, some of the latest news articles about it, the current, or today's paper, the Tahoe Daily Tribune. And for those who are unfamiliar with the project, the idea is to divert traffic around the current middle strip down the casinos and create more bikeable, walkable, complete streets area to promote tourism, really get people out of their cars, reduce pollution from cars and people driving. Right now, this is the preferred alternative, and the timeline for it and really where there's opportunities for the community to get engaged. They will be releasing their draft environmental documents this quarter. There will be a 60-day public comment period in which you can comment on the validity of that, whether or not the environmental analysis was complete. From there, they'll have more public workshops, release a final document, and then it'll go through the steps of approval through the city and through TRPA, Caltrans, NDOT, a number of different federal agencies. But going back to some of the other major projects, like I said, the rec center, definitely an old building. They're going to be looking at updating that. It's right next to Harrison Avenue. It's something that can really become the hub for the recreation economy that Tahoe's moving towards, away from gaming towards recreation. And then the Tahoe Valley Area Plan is going to see some exciting stuff happening. The factory stores are going to be redone, which is going to offer some awesome space for new businesses. Maybe someone wants to start a small business in town. Barton Hospital is going to be building a new sports medicine complex and really creating a medical area there and having bikeable, walkable places where employees can live close to Barton, walk to work. And then on the North Shore, not forgetting about our brothers to the north, because TRIP is now a lake-wide effort. The Brockway Campground, just north of Kings Beach on 267, there's a proposal to build 550 campground sites. So that'll be moving forward. Kind of in connection with that is Martis Valley West, just outside of the Tahoe Basin. There's a couple different proposals for increased housing development, new housing developments in that area. Squaw Valley currently has a proposal out to expand and build some new hotels and resort type features there. So that's something to keep an eye on. And then Kings Beach, the state park and event center, they're looking at updating the state park and then figuring out a way to update and improve the event center, which is a real hub in that whole downtown commercial area of Kings Beach. So some important projects on the North Shore to keep an eye on. And then, so this is something that I feel like could use some clarity, is how do exactly these big, large environmental improvement, redevelopment projects get approved? Who does the sort of documentation on them? So there's 3 documents that are important in the Tahoe Basin. There's the CEQA, which is the California Environmental Quality Act, NEPA, which is the National Environmental Policy Act, and then there's a TRPA document. And all 3 of these documents look at the potential environmental impacts of projects and ways to either avoid those or do mitigation efforts or ways to reduce that impact through scenic screening, adding more bike paths, adding more bus stops, things like that. So these 3 documents need to be completed by project proponents to get a project approved. So really they're to disclose the significant environmental impacts of a project, identify ways to avoid or reduce those impacts, and then enhance public participation so people have a chance to comment on the projects and say whether or not they agree that those impacts are actually going to happen, if the things they propose to mitigate those impacts will actually mitigate those impacts, and kind of give feedback on what the community wants to see with these large-scale projects. A little look at a project's pathway, kind of the CEQA and NEPA path. It goes through them starting the project, working on the draft, and then once the draft comes out, this nice little pink square is when the public has a chance to comment. Then they review the agencies review the comments, give feedback on them, release a final document, get it voted on whether it's approved or not, and then move forward with the project.
That's where you guys come in.
Yeah, so where are the public comment opportunities? Because sometimes these documents can take a long time to craft and build. They're 100 pages long. It can be somewhat confusing. So like I said, when the draft documents are released, there's a 60-day public comment period. So that's your chance to write letters, submit comments electronically, saying whether or not you think the environmental document does a good enough job of showing the impacts and how they're going to mitigate them. There's always public hearings and public meetings on these projects which you can attend, make a comment there to the people that are voting on it, let your voice be heard. Public workshops, these organizations always hold public workshops so people can attend, give feedback, give input, say what they like, don't like, help shape the project that way. And then you can always email write letters to the organization that's doing the project to get your comment on the record. So there's definitely ways to have your voice heard and make your opinion known about a project. So then kicking off the upcoming elections for 2016.
We've got a few of them. And just so you guys know, after we go through this, we really want to hear from you on what your idea of civic engagement is and what practices that you want to see out there and what information we can make more accessible to you. But before I go into that, we talked about knowing the players in the game and how they affect you at a federal, state, and local level. So what's happening there? We've got some key election dates coming up in California and Nevada. We talked about the multiple counties and states that are influencing the Lake Tahoe area. Coming up in Nevada, I mean, already we have, the election cycles ramping up. I mean, how much of your media time is consumed by political ads? Well, guess what? It's going to increase as we draw into the primary, which will be the first time voters come out to pick who will be going into the presidential race. So coming up in California, our primary is going to be in June. So heads up to all of you voters out there. We want to encourage everybody to register to vote. Your voice is so important, and in such a small community, it makes a big impact. Elections have been won on just 3 votes. So pay attention to these dates and get them on your calendar. Coming up in California, like I said, we've got the primary in June, and then we've got some important dates for if you vote by mail. Your ballots are going to be due for the presidential election in November. They need to be postmarked by November 8th. So it seems crazy that we're already talking about November, but it's going to be here before you know it. So time to start thinking ahead about your registration status, finding out where you are registered. Make sure that you're registered to vote in the community that you live in, and make an impact, including Nevada. Their primary is coming up in June as well. However, the caucus is taking place in February. So in just this next week, we are going to see the way the state's leaning as far as the Democratic and Republican candidates go. So for whether you live in Nevada or have friends in Nevada, it's time to start, nudging your friends and colleagues and making sure that they're aware of it too. Because there's going to be a lot of key issues on the ballot, regardless of the presidential candidates. There's going to be a lot of local election topics as well. And Tripp is looking forward to keeping you apprised as we move into that election cycle. So your voter registration status, the way you vote via mail-in or voting in person, just make sure you're monitoring that. And stay informed, stay engaged with what we're working on. There's a lot to cover. You want to talk about this?
So definitely, we just dumped a lot of information on you. There's a lot to cover. It's a big subject. You can really find that one thing that you're into, the one topic you're into, dive deeper into that. But just some simple ways to stay informed. Follow social media pages. Everyone has a social media page now, local government, local agencies, politicians. Like their page on Facebook, follow them on Twitter. They post updates there. It's an easy way to just get your update on your friend going out to dinner and then someone's views on a new project. So you can really stay up to date and not really change any of your internet browsing patterns, I guess you could say. Sign up for e-newsletters. Everyone's got an e-newsletter nowadays. Sign up for them. It'll pop up right in your inbox. Easy to read, always up to date. Google Alerts are another great way to stay up to date. Sign up for some Google Alerts about Tahoe, issues you're interested in. Again, it'll pop up right in your inbox. You don't have to go searching for it. It'll get sent right to you. Read the local papers. There's a couple great local papers, and online and in print around town that have current issues and topics. And then talk to people. You don't learn anything unless you talk to people. Talk to your neighbors, talk to your coworkers, find out what they're interested in, their opinion on things. It may change your mind, may teach you something you didn't know, really get you more in tune with what the community as a whole is feeling. And then a few simple ways to engage. Attend public meetings and workshops. There's always some sort of public meeting or workshop going on, it seems, every week. So there's plenty of ways to go, hear from the experts, hear from the people that are trying to do projects, give them your feedback directly. You can, they always have surveys. I know right now El Dorado County has a survey out. The city's done surveys recently. Let them know your feedback. Email the city, email the county, email people questions, comments. Just send it to them, get it on the record. Let them know that that's a concern of yours. And then comment on projects, like I said, with the public comment period on environmental documents. If you don't comment on a project and send it to the person directly, they don't know your comment or your feedback. It doesn't do any good to just say it. You have to send it to them so they know it exists. And then, of course, you can join the Civic Engagement Committee. So we meet on the second Tuesday of every month, 6:30, usually at LTCC. We plan events like this. We've got some other events coming up. Voter registration drive. We've got good stuff going on. We could always use help. And then, again, this will be online, but a couple helpful links for the city of South Lake Tahoe. They have an online comment platform called Speak Up SLT. You can talk about ideas you have, vote on ideas, have a conversation. They also have a Citizens Academy. It runs, I think, 5 weeks in a row, and you learn about the police department, the budget, how the city council works, kind of the inner workings of the city. So it's definitely a little bit of a time commitment, but you really get to know how a city is run, how our city's run, how it works, which I think is very important to getting informed so you can better be engaged. El Dorado County, a couple links for them. There's city council meetings, the El Dorado County supervisor meetings, and then, of course, the TRPA monthly meetings as well. So those links on there will take you directly to those pages.
And that's what makes emailing your representatives so much easier. If you can't get off work, if you're unable to make it to one of these meetings that Devin's talking about, still speak up, still share with them your thoughts on the issues that they're deciding for you as your representative.
And then if you want to get your opinion published, you can write a letter to the editor to the Tribune. There's some details on how to do it there, no more than 350 words. Send it to CRO@TahoeDailyTribune.com. Obviously, the Tribune can edit for grammar and things like that. You can also email story ideas to the Tribune. And then there are 2 other local publications that are online only as South Tahoe, or Lake Tahoe News and South Tahoe Now, and those email addresses as well. And then finally, I'm kind of excited to announce that we will be kicking off a new series called Tahoe Town Hall, really tackling some more controversial, high-profile topics, trying to spark that engagement. Our first one is going to be on local ordinances. On April 20th at 6 p.m., we'll have local representatives from the city, the county, TRPA, all those local jurisdictions. We're going to be talking vacation rentals, bear boxes, plastic bags, food trucks, any ordinance, anything that you have questions on, how ordinances are created, how they're formed, that process, what the current rules are, and how to potentially change those rules if you feel strongly enough about it. So really fostering an open discussion about some tough topics, some controversial topics, and really sparking that discussion.
And making it accessible too, I think. It's important for us to all be able to speak up, and it's tough to do when there might be a city council meeting at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. I mean, not everybody can make that. So our hope is that we're making TRIP a platform for you to show up, speak up, and ask those questions that you might have of our local representatives.
A lot of great ideas and things written down. I want to thank everyone for coming out to the TRIP Civic Engagement Workshop. The video will be available online at TRYP.org on the Civic Engagement page. We'll blast it on our Facebook. Like I said, stay tuned for upcoming events. April 20th, our Tahoe Town Hall. I can make all these lovely notes available on the website as well. The PowerPoint will be up there with all the links in it. Thanks again for coming out.
Thanks for being here.